Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's David Palmer, Leo King, and this is Deep Astrology, your weekly astrology forecast for the week of October 28th through November the 3rd of 2020. If you have never watched this show before, this is your weekly horoscope that is for the collective, and of course it is on highvibe.tv. This is a show that normally is exclusive for High Vibe TV, where you get the whole entire show, but today I am doing this show because of this very extreme time we are in. I am doing this show fully in its full format, so you get a full preview of this show. But if you are a member of High Vibe TV, remember, you get this show in its full entirety and all the other content, so make sure that you become a subscriber. And I'm also doing an amazing and awesome video right after this live that is going to be about the presidential election and my official prediction, and it's going to be a live that's going to be just about that. So today on this horoscope, I'm not going to be going into the election and stuff like that. I'm doing a separate one right after this. So make sure that you stand by and follow it, and it's going to be awesome. Also, I just did an amazing video, Climax 2020. It's a 3-hour special horoscope video that is a purchase video on highvibe.tv. I went 3 hours. I do a lot of the extensive history, and of course all the astrological transits and understandings and channeling, and it piggybacks off of the last 6 awesome videos I've done since 2016, since Age of Deception, and it combines everything all the way to Battle of the Gods, which was the most recent one I did. So make sure that you check that out. Go to highvibe.tv, click on paid video section, and get on that Climax 2020. Now, this is a show where I channel the astrology to you, and then we go deep into the charts, brought to you by Astro Gold, which is on every Mac device and, of course, on Android. But if you are on PC, make sure you check out Solar Fire. Now, we're on the big full moon week, of course, in Taurus with the planet Uranus exactly conjunct this full moon. An exalted moon in Taurus and a falled position Uranus, in exact opposition to the sun in Scorpio. This is the last week, and we are finishing on this week. Ironically, on election day, Mercury out of retrograde. Mercury is retrograded back in Libra, and we have Venus that is now in Libra with the Scorpio sun, and we are in major times of lots to weigh out, major times of things turning in massive new directions with this full moon. And I want to remind people that this is a full moon dealing with Scorpio and Taurus. This deals with the physical nature of the things that we enjoy, and then the emotional nature of the things that we enjoy. But it also could be the other way around too, right? It could be the emotional of what we don't like, and it could be also the physical of what we don't like. It deals with our senses, it deals with the emotions, it deals with our desires, it deals with our hungers, it deals with our financial aspects. This is definitely a major aspect just on a global scale, and also in your personal life especially, about where is your future going? What are you doing with money? Where is money going? There's a lot of those questions that are coming up on this full moon. Everybody's kind of questioning that in their lives, and it really is about self-worth, though. It's very deeply connected with where you are at with your money. It also is about how you present yourself. We're in Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto in Capricorn. And Capricorn is about the presentation. The only way to get to certain places in life or certain rooms is the presentation and the way that you are. You don't go on a job interview and show up in sandals unless you're going to go maybe sell surfboards or something. I mean, it's definitely one of those things in life where presentation is everything, because this is an important time as Jupiter and Pluto are just weeks now away from their last conjunction. And remember, the Jupiter-Pluto cycle is a 13-year cycle, but we haven't seen it in Capricorn in a very, very long time. Last time Jupiter and Pluto conjuncted in Capricorn was, I think it was 1771. So this is the final of that. And this is we got a lot going on. Especially that Mercury retrograde. With Mercury that has been retrograde here for this last couple weeks and finishing out this week, it is exactly covered. I mean, it is mind-blowing. I will show you a video tonight that I did a screen recording in Astro Gold and put it on days, and to show you where the Venus retrograde in Scorpio and back into Libra was of October through November of 2018, and how this Mercury retrograde has exactly covered these spots. Ironically enough, too, as Venus went direct in November of 2018, was when the sun was right there. When it stopped is right where the new moon is going to happen in Scorpio 2 weeks from now. There is a lot of correlation and a lot of non-coincidental aspects happening in life right now when you start to see very, very mathematical positions that just are no It's not ironic, it's true. There is divine energy surrounding us. And let's not forget that this full moon on Uranus is about the path to divinity in your life. The path in whether or not you value divinity. If you value connecting to the universe as your guide, as the way to solve problems, as the way to be in connection to humanity. That through humanity, the ultimate value is divinity. And the divinity that we see in each other, and more importantly, that we put all of our, not faith, because I know that this South Node in Sag has brought up so much about beliefs, so much about different faiths and ideologies, but it's about knowing the truth. And truth has to deal with the truth that there is a world that we live in that is connected to a higher source, that connects and bridges everything that this world goes through what is happening. Of course, the cosmos is part of that, and the cosmos is the understanding in the universe at large, and all the things that we have been learning in science today, which ironically enough has been just blasted down. So people are only getting one side of the story, and nobody's getting everything. And this is a time where truth is about being able to speak it, to be able to express it. Wherever you see suppression of that, that is not of the light. Whenever you see people not wanting to bring it up or talk about it, that's not of the light. And this full moon is about bringing the light in Taurus. The moon is exalted here, and this sun in Scorpio wants to work with this moon. Because this full moon is all about bringing that divinity and bringing that connection. And Scorpio wants connection too. Remember that Uranus loves to be in Scorpio. And so there's something about the yearning inside right now as a Mars is still retrograde in Aries, which ironically enough, the Dodgers just won the World Series. And this goes to just show you some basic stuff about astrology. In 1988, and then they just won here in 2020, exactly when Mars was retrograde in Aries, right? Like you cannot make this stuff up. That you're seeing patterns happening. Or North Node in Gemini, Angels won, and the Lakers won. Lakers just won, and now we just saw the Dodgers win. LA seems to win every time when North Node's in Gemini, multiple in sports. I know it's stupid. Some people might think sports are stupid, but we're using this to understand if you really are not on Team Cosmos yet, if you're really not on Team Divinity yet, if you're really not on Team Light in the highest form, and you don't go up there, and you're not basing it off of monkey brains that are telling you on how to fix things and how we need to do this, then I don't know what to tell you. This full moon's going to shock the crap out of you. And shock just means shock by awakening. This is a great awakening full moon. And I feel that this full moon, especially as I was born with moon in Taurus, and moon in Taurus is an exalted position. It is happy here. It wants a better life. It wants prosperity. And prosperity is with Uranus, which is freedom. The ultimate prosperity that we have in this life and the ultimate providence that is coming through. And ironically enough, I said that this decade was the era of providence. This is the providence of prosperity through the individualism of your great skills, your great values, and your self-worth. And also knowing that you have your own desires, you have your own wants, and you have your own needs to be great, to step into the world, to really come into a life to where you have the opportunity to be that way. And that has to mean that there are no restrictions in your life that stop that. Even though, yes, there's a crap ton of Capricorn, Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. And Mercury retrograded here in Scorpio to unveil this deeper need and this deeper want. And now that it's in Libra, it's about connection. It's about people. Especially a full moon on Uranus. Geez, Uranus also rules people. It rules the collective. This full moon's about the connections, the people we associate with, and making sure that, is this of the light? Do I have relationships, especially that Venus is now in its dignified home of Libra, and we have a full moon in Taurus. Both are the understandings, Libra and Taurus, of Venus. And we have Venus in its home sign of Libra. So this is all about the connections we have. And we need to look at, we could be on Team Light, but the second we start saying, you know, I guess I'll follow monkey brain stuff, I'll follow the stuff where it's just not connected to the divinity, that, oh no, humans have control to save the world. No, that's psychotic. Anybody who thinks they can control the world and can control how to fix things is not. The prosperity comes from being in an understanding of the divine, an understanding that there is a higher source, whether you want to call that God, whether you call it spirit, you want to call that Allah, you want to call it wherever that you find your God source, that is what is the understanding of how this world works. And I know that there are people out there, and you're allowed to, that's the best part, to not believe that, to not take that as truth, whatever that your truth is. But we are at a time right now where that is the real understanding of allowing to see that everybody should have their own values and allowed to express them. And are we going to judge people by that? But when it comes to you and your alignment right now, anybody who's trying to project or to put out there or to suppress or to censor or to stop anybody from speaking their prosperity and their truth and their values, that's not of the light. I'm sorry to say. And this is very important right now that this full moon is coming in while Mercury's stopping in Libra at the exact position that Venus stopped in November of 2018 in its very rare retrograde. There's no coincidences that this is also in your personal life, because it's dealing with a full moon, needing that prosperity connection. Some people, it's going to be they need money in their life or they need resources. But the main thing is we all want to feel that motherly moon nature, to feel comforted by the things that make us feel special, the things that make us feel wonderful, the things that make us feel good. And that is going to come from whether or not we're willing to look at our true desires. And instead of saying yes to things that we really aren't into and staying in the gray energy, but stepping into the yes or to the no. But also at the same time, whether it is a yes or whether it is a no, that we don't come from a controlling place of how, well, it's a no, but it would only be a yes if you were like this, or if you do this, or if you change this way. There is a lot of energy going around right now. If you just look around, that is trying to say that if this side, or if this person is in form this way, that they are bad. And I warned people about this on my prediction video that was, of course, it was called Destiny's Call, but it's on my YouTube. It's on the front page of all the predictions I made for 3 years. And that was the number one thing I said. Anybody who's going to come out and try and stigmatize you, push groups out, and say, no, that groups shouldn't be allowed to ever speak their truth. This is a full moon that's going to blow that out the window. Because that moon is exalted. And so even though Uranus might want to try and do something wild and shake up, which it is, that moon in Taurus is holding the ground of prosperity. That moon in Taurus is holding the ground of our needs and the people's needs for freedom. And whether you want to think that I'm coming from some side of the political aisle, I'm using astrology to say that. If you're going to try and tell me that Uranus doesn't represent freedom, if you're trying to tell me that Uranus doesn't represent independence, if you're trying to tell me that Uranus doesn't represent the understanding of the ability to only be liberated through that, and to have the free expression as an individual human being to make your own choices of what your prosperity feels like, the life that you want to live, and the desires that you have in the world that you want to live, and that with this Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn, and the hidden aspect of that Pluto that's been there with planning and with all these things, are you really going to, at this moment in your life, on this full moon, with this Mercury retrograde in Libra, are you going to be fair, and are you going to be balanced, and are you going to be just? The only fair and balance and justice there is in this world is to be equal to all people, and to allow people on every side of every issue and every side in all life to stay on the ground of their own views, their own philosophies, but more importantly, their own truth. And this is a very powerful, powerful week. It is one that is preparing us for changes that are going to go in directions that people aren't ready for, and they think. Anything that has been telling you the narrative, this is how it's all going to look, especially if it's coming from the mainstream. I'm just going to say that. It's not. Don't forget that this full moon is so close to a semi-square with the full moon in Uranus to Neptune. And as the nodes, North and South node, are starting to square Neptune, as North node in Gemini 20 degrees, South node. Remember that the election of 2016 was just weeks away from the exact conjunction of the South node in Pisces to Neptune. Here we are with an election, and we have the nodes just a degree and a half away, just like the last election, but this time it's squaring it. And so the media represents Neptune, and it's in retrograde. And I'm here to tell you, there's going to be some people that are going to feel like they're going to go through 2016 all over again. And that's going to be one of those things that people have to realize, that there is a divine order. And anything right now that is speaking of the divine and putting their trust into the divine, that's the passageway. That's the passageway to the everlasting life of love and positivity and to the beauty of life. And that's something that has to be looked at very deeply. Hold on, I'll get it. We'll be back 1 second with the mic. Mercury retrograde stuff. And you know, it's so funny, if you do watch my 2020 prediction videos from the videos that I had done in 2019, when I started getting into some deep truth, well, maybe it, I mean, what's it, is it, when I start getting into deep truth, there is, whether, you know what, some people might call me schizophrenic, but this happened exactly last year when I prepared people for a plague. And I said, the plague's coming, but it's not going to be a normal plague, and people just don't want to listen to me, and da-da-da-da. Guess what? All these weird staticky things started coming in. You listening to me now? You know, you know what? You don't have to trust me. You don't have to do anything. It's your life. It's like, that's the whole point. You're allowed to have your own. I'm allowed to have my opinion. I'm allowed to have my truth. I follow the universe. I follow the cosmos. I follow all the ancient wisdom, and I put that before all the stuff I see everywhere else. You know why? Because North Node and Gemini, especially in the year of the rat, you need to be smart. And you need to not be listening to energies that are all Neptunian. Opinion pieces, South Node. If you're going to be stuck in the opinion and what you believe is the best and what you perceive is the best, and you start getting all cultural too with the cultures and all that stuff and the deception based upon what's the culture we're in? Humanity. What's the culture we live in? Earth. Let's stick to that one. Let's stick to that one, please, especially during these times. Because in this is what happened with Neptune and Pisces. In 1848 through 1861, it created segregation. It created separation. And that's because people get too lost in not knowing the ethereal and also starting to just start cracking off based off these crazy, literally Neptunian belief systems and forgetting at a whole. And then reconstruction has to happen. But it's people, and it's ironic. And I mean, that's why I'm going to do another video about politics. Because I'm going to separate that, because at this moment, all that matters on our personal, individual, and collective scale is to make sure that we all contribute to this earth of allowing prosperity, of allowing us to live the life that we all feel we deserve to live, that we all feel that we want to live, and that what our desires are, and allow everybody their independent way to do that. That is what this full moon is about. That is what justice and fairness is. It can't just be all, everybody does all this for this amount of people. Or everybody does this because of this thing. No. That's what Venus is here, and that's why this full moon is exalted. And so, even Saturn in many ways wants to keep things fair. Although there's been that Pluto addiction that Saturn's had of wanting to destroy things or control things even more deeply, and with Jupiter there. But maybe has Saturn changed? Maybe Saturn has gone through the changes it has left Pluto. Maybe it did take everything it wanted from control. And maybe it did realize at the end of the day that nobody likes people that take too much control. Nobody likes that, especially as Saturn knows he's going into Aquarius to meet with Jupiter, that this would be like the moment of Kronos when he realizes that Jupiter, his son, is going to make sure that the universe gets its order rebalanced in life. And so I just want to say, I hope you all are ready for that. And it's not about me, and I know a lot of others out there feel it in their soul, and they feel it deep within themselves at this moment and this time is about that the divine will take care. The divine will break the spell. The divine will bring the prosperity. And those that don't see it, that's okay. That's okay. Those ships are going in another direction. And there's rocks. Allow yourself to remember, what do you really want in your life? How do you want your life to feel? What makes you feel good? What is your desires? What kind of partnership do you want to be in? This Venus is going into opposition to Chiron. This Venus is going through, some really weird stuff. We got the moon on Mars Retrograde for the last time for decades. What do you want? Who do you want to be? Where's the warrior within you? And where's the kind of partnership that feels like the warrior that's next to you in truth? The warrior that's in prosperity. The warrior, you can't be in any relationship right now if somebody is lacking in their value and they don't understand who they are. Because then it's like, you're the tugboat now. And so we can't also have a society that's a tugboat society. That's not humanitarianism. Humanitarianism is, we have moments when we do have to tugboat people out, but they're moments. We have tow truck drivers and stuff that tow cars for a moment, but they also don't tow you back home, and then they don't tow you here, and then they don't tow you there, and then they don't tow you there, right? They tow you to the dealer, they tow you back home, and then you have to figure. That's how the universe works. And when you find that value within yourself and you don't worry about things, because this is going to be a full moon that brings a lot of anxiety and a lot of nerves to people with being with Uranus, and it rules the nervous system. But there's no nerves when you're solid with divinity and spirit, but more importantly, well, actually that's the most important thing, but the secondly would be that you're so connected to that prosperity that comes to you because you know how to draw it in with Scorpio and attract it, and because you know how to own it in your physical reality. Let's take a look at the charts. So, as we're setting up the cameras to reset, I always go through the solar system 3D-wise, and what's crazy is the day before the election, November 2nd, we are going to see, so look at Earth. Earth is looking at Jupiter and Saturn, right? Jupiter and Saturn are coming together on November 2nd. Yes, here we go. So, as we see here, from Earth's point of view, when I move this thing to November 2nd, boom, we're seeing, that's not Earth. That's what's coming is Jupiter, Pluto. Sorry, I'm lost for a second. See Jupiter and Pluto. That's happening November 13th, 14th. It's the Sun is seeing exactly Jupiter, Saturn the day before the election, exactly 24 hours before Mercury comes direct. So here's Mercury now. Here we'll come to today, which today is the 28th of October. And so the reason why Mercury's about to come out of retrograde is because now Mercury's past, Is it going? What about now? It's the switch. Keep switching to like mute. Anyway, when we move on November 3rd on the day of the election, which is going to be at about 10 a.m. Pacific. Well, I'm going to need a wireless mic then. Hello. All right, I think we are back. Although I can't see. I think it needs to be turned up on the other side. I'm only going up like 3/4. Hello. Although I can't see with that light, but should have it to where it should come up to the top. All right. So, all right. The universe just loves to mess with me when I start bringing out hardcore truth to people in sound. Especially on that. I'm done. I am forever done with Sennheiser microphone wireless. You guys can all pay me all my money back for the thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that I have paid. That all of your microphones just start doing that, even when we change all the frequencies the right way and sync them. That's me just having fun, just, saying what I gotta say. All right. I lost where I was at. That's the bummer in my channeling, is they tried to just pull me off my channeling. And we had to like switch sets and move to a whole different mic system and everything. But it's frustrating. We're in frustrating times. But you got to roll through it, and then you got to get over it. So Mars is done with that Earth that just passed it. So good news about that is we're moving off Mars. Mars as well is done also with a lot of the stuff in square to Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. We will see Mars, though, make a big square coming up. But that light went off. That's probably... I don't know why that light always... I think it's up there from what I know. It's the wrong light. It's not the newer light. I think we need to take the one that's down off there and bring it here.
Sorry, everyone. I'm done with this 3D chart anyway, so we're coming back right now. Glorious. I'm like completely washed out on that other camera. Use the manual. Just put it to manual and use the focus ring, and it'll always work. And it'll just leave it there. I spent 8 hours last night on the new set and to do the presidential election thing, and I was up till 3 a.m. and I did a live for an hour just to tell you guys I was gonna do it. And then now I'm having problems with deep astrology. It's one of those it's just one of those things. It's just like, people try to get all pissed at me. Why do you go so late? Look at what I'm going through. You know what I mean? Like, it's life though. We're all frustrated. I forgot to add all these charts in. You have to give me a second here. This got all washed out too. Jeez. By the way, if there's people in Orange County that need a job or I need some extra help, please contact me. Only in Orange County, and no weird fan freaks or something like that. People who are serious and people who want to work. All right, let's go to, I'm just going to go straight to this full moon because this is what it's about. So we're going to Halloween, October 31st, and this is a very powerful new moon. 8 degrees with Uranus at 8 degrees. So this full moon is within only 3 seconds in geometry. We're talking exact. Now, of course, we're not going to be able to see Uranus because we can't see with our eyes. There's just some moments in life where you can, but you have to remember that this would be blaring it out anyway with so much light from the sun that this is shocking the system. Especially because we do have Black Moon Lilith here, which is right with that full moon. This is the desire for prosperity. That's what Taurus is. This is the garden, right? This is the garden of our life. These are the things that we feel that we need. This is touch. This is feel. This is sensual, right? And then, don't forget with Scorpio, that adds the sexual quality, but it also adds the more emotional needs and wants. And so this is dealing with financial, and it's dealing with a lot of things that, ironically, because Taurus is the ruler of Venus. Here's Venus at 4 degrees. Now, Venus is not in those hard squares yet, okay? So that's what's coming over the next couple of weeks. But what is interesting to see on this full moon here is Neptune, right? So if you go with Neptune, 18, the semi-square is building. It's not there yet, but the full moon will have that semi-square start. And this is what's been going on with Uranus and Neptune for the last couple of years, this 45-degree angle. And this has been very difficult, especially the collective has been duped. This is deception. This is the media. I'm just going to be honest with you all. This is what it's been. And so people who fall for this media thing, especially the more mainstream, and aren't willing to speak of, things that are different. Anything that's a different ideology and thought is being suppressed. That's from that. And this full moon's going to bring that up. That means there's going to be some situation that was a lot like we saw in the last couple of weeks of censorship that's going to come up again and disrupt things. And people are going to have to see prosperity because that full moon will semi-square Neptune. And Black Moon Lilith is semi-square Neptune. And there's going to be this whole, nope, we value our liberties of life and our independence for all people to be able to speak or to say or to do or to live in the way that they want to live. It's interesting to see Venus opposing Chiron on this full moon as well, because this is a deep healing that has to take place. It's a little difficult. We are having a hard time identifying the relationships in our life that really feel like are in alignment with our needs and wants. And so we feel like there's a crutch. Like, okay, there's this, but there's something not there. There's this, but there's something not there. There's this, but there's something missing here. And there's going to have to be a healing of, okay, well, what would really work in the life I want? And maybe what are those things that I can work on? What are those things I can't? And then there's the surprise element to this Uranian energy that's like, well, have you looked or tried something different? Have you looked in a different place? Have you looked at different groups of people? Have you looked at different energies? Jupiter with Pluto, but it's mainly Jupiter and exact, is quincunx to the North Node. This is an odd aspect. It's an odd aspect because the way to our destiny is through truth and through message and through communication. And Jupiter here is all about these beliefs. And the South Node is in Sag, and that connects with Jupiter. So it's like Jupiter in Capricorn too is like, we need to focus only on where we want to put that rocket ship of Jupiter-Pluto energy to our destiny and to what we really want to achieve in our life. But we have to not be afraid to be flexible and to also at the same time not be stuck in some sort of same belief system, but go with where the tides are changing, which I think is ironic because especially in the way that we're living our life today and we're seeing things change so much, people will just stay on the same team or the same energy or the same belief system even when things change. I mean, I will promote him again, Ben Davison, Suspicious Observers, amazing astrology channel, so much about the sun. We just had the sun go through another polarity shift. So much evidence is coming out about the sun's effect. And for years, especially all the solar flare activity that happened for years, this decade has been about realizing that the sun is controlling everything that happens on Earth, what is going on. This is where it's like we have to take the new data. I mean, forever they thought, oh, the galaxies were separate by dark matter. No, they're actually connected. And there's so much new stuff coming out about what's happening electromagnetically, which is what Uranus represents. And there's something also about this as well, that the traditional understanding of science is not going to work. Do you remember the last time Uranus was in Taurus? And the science that came out? It's ironic because because Joe Biden said that I guess America was friends with Hitler at one time. I don't remember that one. But Hitler injected bull semen in him. Uranus and Taurus. So what I'm trying to say is, this is a time, especially science gets brought up because it's Uranus. And here's the sun in Scorpio in opposition. And it's like, we all know a deep truth underneath of what resonates and what we feel we want to put in our physical reality and what we don't. And this fair, balanced, and just Venus is dealing with a court case and an opposition from Chiron that feels like a wounded warrior that's going to try everything it can to say this is how this has to be done, this has to be done. And Venus is like, hold on, let me take a look at all this and make sure. Mercury retrograde, 26 degrees. Ready to come direct on Tuesday, the 3rd. Is having to weigh out a lot. And it's a Mercury retrograde and direct square Saturn. This is not going to be easy stuff. Look at all the frustration I went through just before this, right? And then you have to go through the frustration, and then once you let it go and you move on, you can get through, okay? But don't hang on it too long, because this is going to be a frustrating Mercury, especially with information and with trying to figure things out and blocks. But there are moments of frustration that then you have to find the harmony through, that the frustration is teaching you how to find harmony. So information is definitely coming through a lot. Saturn's in its home sign, but there's Venus that, and it's ironic that Libra, and if you understand some of the really old and ancient astrology, that it's only Libra that has a way to kind of take out any kind of hardcore Capricorn energy when it comes to control and stuff like that. So balance and order always over wins in the end, even though the sun is at its worst position there. We're out of that now. And I would like to say, if we do look at all the parts of this full moon, right, we are dealing with a lot of positives. Venus at 8 because it's at home. Mars at 8 because it's at home. And they're in opposite signs. This is very rare, especially with Mars retrograde in Aries. Saturn's at plus 10, so that Mercury is having a hard time, right? It's in a Venus ruled sign, even though Venus is there, but that extreme frustration and also control of messaging, right? We're seeing that now with censorship and stuff. The moon is plus 4 because it's exalted. The sun's plus 1 because it's with Mars, and Mars happens to be in its home sign. So the only planet that is negatively aspected by position is Jupiter. So this is actually an abundant full moon, but there is energy trying to stop abundance out there, and it's hidden. Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter, and it's with Jupiter there, which is in quincunx to everybody's destiny of truth. So anybody that doesn't want to talk about truth, okay, and not deceived by a square to Neptune, which rules mainstream media, which rules kind of this, especially mainstream media connected to 2016, the last time the nodes met with Neptune in Pisces in a negative aspect, which was exactly 4 years ago this week. That's astrology. This is the full moon of whether or not you're ready to go to prosperity or not in your life, to abundance. This is an abundant full moon. This is a full moon where people have to take wild risks of connection of where they want to go. And I think it's ironic that, and I'm just going to say this, that the world's putting out there to do the opposite when the universe is saying, this is where you connect. This is where you connect. We connect all the dots. We connect to the energies. We connect to the people we want to. We have to look at our relationships deeply. We got to look at how we connect to society and and to people. And we've got to do that from a space where everybody gets their own say and everybody gets their own prosperity. And also that we all need to, in our personal lives, want that prosperity to feel the things we want in our life. And this Mars retrograde is rethinking that identity. And inside, the warrior has been building in a retreat to understand how to defeat this big force of Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn and Capricorn that's been trying to stop people. Anybody trying to stop people, look at them. Look at their soul. I'm not here to try and tell you to be some judgmental person, but we are with a Venus in Libra and a Mercury retrograde in Libra. It's more about trust. It's more about, is that true? Is that coming from divinity, or is that coming from something other place? Have they been taken over by another energy? Pluto, Jupiter. We are on Halloween this week. Have ghosts and goblins and ghouls taken people over that have this idea that they can control us, that they can control people and how they should live? Should. Jupiter is at worst position, and South Node is in Sag. And it's squared by Neptune. Delusion. Creating stories. Great Oz. Don't fall for Oz anymore. I can't even believe what I heard about New Zealand and the quarantine camps. And if you don't do this in a quarantine camp, like you don't take a test within 14 days, guess what? She's laughing on how, well, that's what a great way to get people to stay just another 14 days. And if they do it again, I'll just keep them in there 14-day periods. Fact, go look it up. Fact, go look at France. Friday, lockdown. Maybe it's France. Does the French Revolution come back on this full moon? That will happen for them? On that Saturday, the day after the lockdown goes down? This is revolutionary times. It's not about being, disobedient, but it's about who's really being disobedient when it comes to control. and denying people of their needs and their wants, and more importantly, their ultimate needs, and trying to keep people and saying that I will keep you and I'm going to help you survive, and I'm going to help other people survive by everybody not surviving, basically. That makes no logical sense under a full moon in Taurus with Scorpio sun. None. Because I know Scorpios with a full moon, which ironically enough, you know who has that? Is Joe Biden. He's a sun Scorpio, the moon in Taurus. How's this going to fare out for him? That's what I'm about to do when I get off with this show. So let's go back, and I'm going to look at Thursday because we're done here with this Wednesday, and I'm going to do this moon on Mars retrograde. This is the last time we're going to see these two. You can see them up at night. Make sure that you go outside and take a look. This is going to be the last time it's a Mars retrograde. And this is also the last time you're going to see the moon with Mars as close as it is to Earth for years in this spot. So decades, So definitely take a look at that. Next month, of course, we'll see it again, but Earth will be farther away from Mars. So this is the closest you're going to see it again. And if you notice, Black Moon Lilith starts off here in Aries and then comes into Taurus, because that full moon Friday, I'm looking at the day before the full moon now, and that full moon is getting a lot of energy built up by Mars. So there's a lot of power coming into this full moon. It's definitely not weak. And Mercury, that's now just come into Libra, and Venus now into Libra, it's definitely starting to see not only the truth, but it's starting to tap into the lessons we've learned where we fooled ourselves in our own personal lives and our own things of our needs and wants from back then, which was October, November of 2018. So if we move on to Saturday now, that's Wednesday, and then so Saturday is the full moon, sorry, on October 31st. I guess Friday's chart didn't make it on here. Didn't make it on here. So, hold on. Mercury square Saturn in retrograde. That's going to be the 30th. Wait, what's this? October 30th, okay. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, here we go. So, the day before the full moon, I was lost. Thursday, we just went through the 29th. The full moon starting to, it's not in the sign yet, but it's starting to build up because the moon in Aries is getting real ramped up here. Okay, we'll pick a different color that's a little bit more different. Okay, so you can see all this energy, but look at the moon will oppose Mercury retrograde. And so there's going to be a lot of questions on Friday and a lot of personal, especially with the moon on top of Lilith in opposition to Mercury retrograde, a lot of people rethinking what's fair and not, and then this emotional energy and personal life energy of what our needs are. And so we can really start to understand some really deep things about what's fair and what's just and what we need in our life. And anything that goes against that, oh boy, is it going to be a crazy storm, okay? It'll be a crazy one. So I just want to say that in your life, with the square to Saturn, because the moon will square Saturn, Mercury retrograde will square Saturn, it's about time to make some big choices in your life, in your personal life, about what you really want and what you really need. And what is the kind of people, and what is the fairness, and what is the balance, and what does stimulate you in the right way? That's very important as Venus is on its way to oppose Chiron. So let's go to Sunday now. After we already did the full moon. So when this full moon ends, here we come. Sunday, the moon's still in Taurus at 23 degrees. Okay? Going to make trines to all the Capricorn stuff. So it's like this revolution happens, this pivot is going to happen in our life to make our lives better. And then it's almost like instantly coming into this whole weekend. This is all about doing whatever the universe is divinely telling you to do, and what feels better for you in your life and what feels like that is what Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn are trying to help you with. Like, yeah, let's do what feels in our physical life that's going to bring us goodness, and let's execute the plan. Let's do that. Even though it's a fast plan, and it's a fast plan with Jupiter and Pluto starting to conjunct 21, 22, holy moly. It's not like it's like, oh yeah, there is no big plan that just comes out of nowhere with Uranus. No, it is a big one. And Venus finishes that opposition to Chiron. So there's a lot of healing that could take place, but we got to face it. We got to face the relationships that something's off and be real. And we got to let our values out on the table. You definitely, or if you're, single, or you're, you gotta just, you're gonna have to take some sort of different leap to find the connections that you want. And then it pains me deeply inside to see news like France and news in EU right now when I see these transits, because I'm like, this is that golden era of where you do find some of the greatest gold that you've been looking for. This is the buried treasure stuff I've been talking about. Because here's Mercury starting to end its retrograde, and the sun now comes to 9 degrees and getting ready to come to the next decan. And we've got Venus trying to heal a lot of issues with people and yearning for connection, and the moon ready to make those changes in our life to feel better. On Monday, this is a big day. It's Mercury station. So Mercury's going to stop at 25 degrees of Libra. Sun's going to go to 10 degrees, and the moon's going to be in Gemini. And this is going to be a pretty wild, 48 hours from Monday to Tuesday, with the moon being in Gemini and coming into a lot. It's going to be a nice trine on Monday to Venus, which I think that's good. I think that this is going to be a day where it's like, okay, wow, I either found my bliss this weekend and I made the changes and I made those different things and I've rethought a lot and I'm ready to turn this all on. Because a lot's getting ready to turn on here in November, right? Mars is about to turn on. Jupiter, Pluto are about to come together. We got a new moon in Scorpio with all those that will have come together. Mercury direct, a Mars direct. We got Venus in Libra connecting with the moon. There's a lot where Monday, it's like you either just know the truth and you feel great and you've seen the greatness and you're ready to make the change. And I think this is great energy. But it's almost like, it kills me again to see people that there are forces out there that are just, it's like they know the astrology. And I'll be honest with you, they do. And they know when to make you feel at your worst, because this is about making you feel at your best. And I ask all you out there in the EU and all you going through those countries where it's like, F you, what are you going to do about it? How much do you value your life, and how much do you value the things truly of the life that you want to have? And that's coming from an astrological point of view, because as an astrologer, we're not going to see another full moon on Uranus and Taurus here for a minute with Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn, and Capricorn, which the last time this happened was in 1284. So, we're never going to see that ever again, ever in our lives. And I'm trying to show you with Venus and Libra too, and Mercury stopping exactly where Venus went retrograde, and Venus was in Libra. So there's so much about this beautiful connection space and working through all the weird issues of the things we don't want, and just saying no and saying yes to the ultimate, and the ultimate starting to show up, and Mars retrograde being like, I am redefining my identity. I am redefining what I want. I am being the warrior inside that knows, and I'm going to start making those moves. I'm going to start breaking things apart that don't make sense. I'm going to know my liberation. I'm going to know my feelings of goodness. And this moon in Gemini with Rahu there, I am ready to make my life the environment that I want to be. I am ready to change my personal life. I'm ready to speak my truth. I'm ready to feel what's just. Moon trine Venus in Libra, moon in Gemini. It has to happen. But people could be on other sides of all that stuff. We're in a very split Neptunian world. Unfortunately, that people have been bought and paid for literally, and because you pay for it to watch. Whether it's your phone, to your phone service, to the hotspot where you bought a coffee, whatever it might be, to listen to a bunch of narrative that's totally, like, that's why I did Age of Deception. It's on YouTube for free, and there's the nodes. Start and scroll, change the color. 20, right? 20, 20. There's Neptune. For just shits and giggles, I'll show you what I mean. Let's just edit this chart and go to 2016. Okay. New moon in Scorpio. But what was it? Why was I in Portland and Seattle? I was with Rick Levine in Seattle. It was that Sunday, and then, it was that Sunday. That weekend, I did a show with Rick Levine, and then came down to Portland, and it was that Tuesday, November 1st. Look at South Node with Neptune. Look at that. And with Chiron there at 21 degrees. Look at that. Mars 24 Capricorn. Oh, wait, sorry. The election was actually later than that. It was on the 7th. It was on the 8th. So it would have been right here. So there's still South Node. So it would have been right here, Tuesday. South Node, Neptune, and then look at the moon. And then that was the day that Mars crossed from 29 Capricorn that day into 0 Aquarius, which we're about to see Jupiter and Pluto do. So who won that night? What's about to happen on that spot again? But not with Mars, but with Jupiter and Pluto, Jupiter and Saturn. Same thing, not at the same time, but within the period of from the election to the inauguration. That spot's a very interesting spot. That's also a spot of the Revolutionary War and Pluto coming into Aquarius, right? Of freedom. So, start doing your astrology. And the main thing I would say is that South Node Neptune. So, it's taken 4 years for now the nodes to square Neptune. Because you have to remember, I'll just do it by year. Right? Now South Node's with Aquarius. We don't see it with Neptune. Now the South Node comes into Capricorn. We see it in sextile with Neptune. The control systems found ways to use the media to try and make all their stuff work, and it still didn't work. The impeachment and all that stuff. Look at that. Saturn, Neptune, South Node, Saturn. That was fun last year, wasn't it? Just in your own personal life during this time last year? No. South Node and Saturn was hard. Which made 2020 harder because you were clearing a bunch of weird energy that was not part of your karma. Now we come to now, and finally we're at the nodes 20 and 20, and there's the square to Neptune. So now it's from the conjunction. This would be the waxing of a South Node, which is in Sag, and look at Jupiter is in its fall position. So anybody coming from what they believe and project and have an idea of trying to constrict and control will not work. Gemini wiggle around in their chairs, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I need some sort of, like, if you notice Sages fall asleep on a plane in a minute, like, you know what I mean? Santa Claus, like, oh, I have gifts to go do. Mercury's different. And Mercury was with Saturn and Pluto, and that's been the whole thing on January 12th of 2020. That's going to last hundreds and hundreds of years, is this whole idea of trying to control your mind. And now they're talking about trying to connect computers into your mind. Come on. To control. And whether you want to believe that or not, that's what the astrology says, literally. I've been saying it for so long that I just feel like I'm just regurgitating stuff. Here we are. Everybody wants to know Tuesday, election day, and Mercury direct. Here it is. Here's the chart. Okay. Mercury comes direct right here, 25 degrees and 53 minutes of Libra. Bang. And that's happening Pacific time at 9:49 a.m. So that's going to be at 12:49 p.m. And that's going to be on Eastern. And what's interesting is we changed the time this weekend. Now, the moon is going to hit that node that day and square Neptune. And so there's going to be another, the media and the belief systems and oh yeah, from whatever is believed, that's going to try, but the moon is going to say otherwise in Gemini. No, actually we saw this, and Mercury coming direct in Libra of the justice and the fairness is going to help out that, and Venus is going to help out that. Believe it or not. I'm about to go into a video. I'm going to show my predictions, but I'm also going to show you what I feel like that there is astrologically, coming from just an astrological position, that I think a lot of the narrative that what's been told out there to you in the media and so forth is not going to happen at all. Even I think the whole idea of like they're trying to get everybody to think it might be a longer election and Mercury's coming direct. This is not the Al Gore Bush where Mercury went retrograde. This is the opposite. It's coming direct. And the moon is in Gemini with the North Node in Rahu. And guess what? People want to know right now the data and the facts and what's happening. And even though Mercury is square Saturn, there will be some frustration, but there's going to be some sort of, this has to be figured out now. This has to be done now. Like there's limitations, but there's also with Saturn demands. And so Saturn's demanding Mercury to figure out the fairness and the truth. And those demands are going to be met with the moon on the Rahu. Rahu's it's going to be uncomfortable for anybody that was stuck in that South Node Sag and anybody that's been lost in this Neptunian world. But it's going to feel like a crazy movie. But I'm going to put it out my main prediction, but on Deep Astrology, I'll just say in your own life, you're going to have your own kind of major revolutionary emotional moment throughout this whole entire week with this full moon, and more importantly, with it happening on Rahu and an opposite Ketu and squaring Neptune, while there's a Mercury direct, while it's squaring Saturn, and more importantly, now we're going to see the moon with a sextile to Mars. There is definitely a lot of energy about pushing it through, even though Mars is retrograde, pushing through things. And when we look at stuff, the moon with Rahu, that's got -5 because of position. But look at Venus, +10. And here's Saturn, +10. But what's interesting is if you read the old text, it is Libra that at the end of the day, and Venus is the original ruler of Libra, that beats out a control system. Couldn't believe it when I saw this. Because there's just a narrative that's trying to persuade people that the control system is going to win and, you know, all this kind of stuff. Sorry. I don't know what to tell people. The astrology is looking way different. And Black Moon Lilith on Uranus, you think people as they're going, and you think that people are wanting to have freedom, to have the life they want. And there's a side out there, and it's not in America, it's the world. There's a side that doesn't want you to have that. That they want to make the choices for you. And then turn you into other people where you don't have your own independent idea of that you just become, you know, whether you want to call that like, we'll use an easier, nice term, like you want to be like affiliates of that. And they don't even pay you. That's not how Taurus works. Taurus doesn't work that way. Like, you want me to go be an affiliate for you, and you want me to go represent that we should, for the betterment of the all good, but nobody's going to get anything good, and it's really not doing anything different or good. Is it going to work? Not with black moon on Uranus. No, people are going to be like, you know, and everybody's already tested those waters. Everybody's already tested the waters and realized, yeah, it's not as, there's more abundance out there that I know that God wants me to have and the universe wants me to have, and that we were brought on this earth for that. And natural things happen that are bad all the time, but you don't stop. Like Uranus is not going to let the world stop. And money and control systems and banks and all that stuff are not going to stop. And even though there's corruption and all that kind of stuff, you got to realize that not everybody's corrupt and not every bank is corrupt. There's too many people on the light in the world that want a good life, opposed to a very few people who want a good life only for themselves. And you have to remember that. And you have to remember that through this day. And you have to remember that in your life. What team are you on? This is what is building us up towards some intense craziness, because as I show you here, I'm showing you now the helio with the sun at the center of the chart. That's how I end all my deep astrologies, right? So it's like, guess what planets are meeting together? Jupiter and Saturn. And so on Wednesday, here they are. They're very close. Mars enters Taurus. Interesting. Mars is getting closer to the Earth from a helio point of view, but it's not, because Earth is moving away faster. We already had that. And Mercury's in Taurus, and Mercury's getting ready to be in Gemini and meet up with these guys. So Mercury's going to be in a hop, skip, and a jump kind of energy, and Mercury and Pluto is going to expose a lot of truth this week. And Venus and Leo, everybody wants to, as the dharma of life, and everything is coming from I want to have fun. And tonight, as we're speaking, Venus is square Uranus. Like, I want to feel good, and I want to find a different way to feel good. So that's resonating a lot with the Geo. But as we look at the day that Mercury comes direct, which is Tuesday, the day before the election, here's the exact moment that Jupiter and Saturn conjunct from the sun's point of view in Aquarius. This is for the people. This is not about locking people or feeling them away from it. This is about independence. This is about realizing that in humanity, you have your own individual self, and then you have the world. And right now they're trying to say, well, the world's doing this, so everybody must do this. No, that's what this line is. This line means that you have your own way, and the universe and our society is one way, but mainly it's that the world needs to go with, and people and the earth has to go with the universe's way. And so that's what those squiggly lines are about. And that the whole age of Aquarius and this whole understanding of everybody being one in the same way is just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's not, it's amateur astrology, especially with Mars that's going to be squaring this spot before it happens, before the election. So it's almost like there's a force that's trying to almost like, there's going to be a lot of pressure in the universe, in our solar system, and Mercury as well, squaring Neptune. A lot of weird things that are trying to be said or to be done, and then for some reason on Monday, nope, that all unfurls this weekend too with the full moon. It's like being like broken apart. And then here's Tuesday, the day of the election, and you can't make this up. Mercury is finishing there in Gemini, going its full speed in the morning and in the afternoon. And by the end of the day, going into Cancer at 0 degree. And wanting to understand where people's feelings are at. Jupiter and Saturn are done with their conjunction. Jupiter's now moving past Saturn. And Mars at 3 here, it's done with that square. Venus is at 18, making a quincunx over here to Neptune. Still, though, I don't really look at that as a big deal. I feel that this is going to be a revolution of change of a way that people have to see that's going to allow people to be into harmony and freedom more than living in a world of the opposite of that. The whole idea that we're not going to figure things out fast just blows my mind. Everything that Mercury's doing is connected. So what I have left, just to kind of finish this with, Oh, they don't let me show video, but I can show video this way. So I did a little screen video. Oh, well, let me play that right here. Oh, maybe it will. Is it playing the video or no? Oh, okay. So I'm going to show it to you. What I'm showing to you, and I'm not able to see this video. Okay, I can see it now. So I'm going to push play. This is October 5th, 2018. Look up at the top right of your screen. Venus retrograded that day at 12:04 p.m. Pacific in Scorpio at 10 degrees. Mercury went retrograde at 11 degrees of Scorpio. Okay? Let's play the video. So I push it to where you go through the transit of the Venus retrograde from October 5th, and you're going to watch Venus. Also watch the nodes. The nodes were at the end of Leo and Aquarius and went into Capricorn and into Cancer. And then there's Venus November 16th, 17th, right? And there's the sun at 23 where the new moon's going to be when Venus switched over. And ironically, on election day, Venus on election day, or sorry, the sun is going to be at 11 where Mercury retrograded and past the zone of where that retrograde was and past the zone of where Venus retrograde was that Mercury just covered. And there was a lot of crazy stuff that went on and shenanigans with Venus opposed Uranus, Venus square the nodes that was in retrograde during that time. And this is clearing up all that shenanigans stuff. So be ready for a wild week on whether or not you're ready to go live your greatest life. And there's going to be, and if there was any time than ever, you're going to see that this week has all the opportunities for you to finally make the adjustments in your life of going, where's the balance and harmony? What people are really going to fit? Yes, there's been a lot of inconsistencies with relationships and people, but you know, at some point you just got to try the most random stuff and connect to the most craziest things and try to find the most biggest prosperity. And what is that? It's independence, it's freedom, and it's energy that allows you to be free and doesn't try to control you. It doesn't make you feel like I have to do something in your personal life. That also applies to the outer world. And anything that does that's the failure of your self-worth. That's the failure of all the things you'll see in your life of why you're not doing well, why you don't like the way you look, why you don't like your life, why you're not happy. When you have to do this whole shrug like, God, I have to do this, like, I have to be with this person, I have to do what the government is telling me on this weird thing. No, there's other parts you have to see that are telling you otherwise, that want you to be free, that want you to be great. And those are the energies to align with, and you'll be fine, especially in your one-on-one partnerships, especially in the groups you associate with, and especially where you get your information. I'm sending you my best. Make sure that you get Climax 2020. I'm about to do my presidential election prediction right now. I got to go set it up. It's 9 p.m. Pacific, so it's midnight on the East Coast. Give me 30 minutes, and I'll be there. Love you all very much. Spread this video. And last thing I want to say is no matter what side you're on the fence election-wise, I love you. Everybody, we should all love each other. Whatever happens. And people who are telling people on either side, even though I see it a lot on the left, telling people if they vote on the right, which I can't believe, and a lot of them are in the spiritual community, saying, you have no morals and values? I think it's more like, where's your morals and values in judging people on who they want to vote for their political things? You don't even know their world. You're going off your own basis and your own beliefs. Same thing on the right. When they tell people, I can't believe people vote on the left. They have no morals. They have no values. Or it's the opposite. They're stupid. They're not awake. It's like, that's you getting a check on your own morals and values. The ultimate moral and values is we're humans and we all deserve our own independent, sovereign prosperity of how we see that prosperity be in our lives. I love you all very much. See you soon.